Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Will with Schedulefly, and today I'm excited to have Dennis Carter on the phone. Dennis owns Ryan's Restaurant, which is an institution for sure in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. In fact, it was started in 1977, and it's a phenomenal place. It has a wonderful reputation. It's been around for, 41 years now. And Dennis was GM there when it first opened and wound up becoming one of the owners in 2007. So he's been cranking away as an owner for 11 years now, and actually is on his day off and just had the weekend shift, so maybe a little tired, but was nice enough to talk to us today. So thank you, Dennis.
You're more than welcome.
So, well, take me back a little bit, back to '77 when you were the GM when they opened. Was that right? Did I read that right?
Yeah, that is correct. I was originally hired as the GM. The two gentlemen that were behind the concept, neither one really had any restaurant experience. One guy was purely a developer investor, and the other gentleman, Scott Richardson, was the guy behind the idea. But they had neither one been in the restaurant business prior, and hired me to come over and get it up and running.
It was a lot to take on at an early. How long had you been in the business prior to that?
I had been in the business about 10 years at that point. I worked for a small regional chain out of Greensboro, and had done a number of store openings for them, a little troubleshooting with restaurants that in the group that maybe were not doing as well as they should, and I'd go in and try to get them straightened out and get staff hired and management trained, and the aspects that the company wanted, and then move on to the next one. And was actually I'm from Greensboro, and was running one of our restaurants in Greensboro, and got to know the guy who was the investor developer, and he was the one who approached me about coming to Winston to run this restaurant that they were putting together.
So you were there for quite some time before you wound up buying it.
Right.
So clearly you have a love for hospitality and that particular establishment. Tell me about the opportunity to purchase the restaurant and what was going on with you and.
Well, the one of the original owner, investor developer guy, decided to get out of it very early on, back in about 1980. And the other gentleman brought in a friend of his as a partner, and together, with them, we ran the restaurant. Actually, it was in 1990 that I got my first part of the ownership capacity. They made me the managing partner at that point, and and then I had it's things, the way things are set up. You earn additional ownership as by performance and how well the restaurant does, and continue to accumulate ownership capacity. And then in 2006, one of the partners decided that he wanted out to do something else, and they ultimately both decided to go at that point. And so in January of '07, we completed buying them out. And I have a partner that works with me at the restaurant. It's been with me for 45 years.
Okay.
He and I've worked. He worked with me at the small regional chain. I had started with, and I brought him on board, and he and I he's been with me at Ryan's, since he came on board in '82, I think. and has been with me there ever since, and is now my partner. But it's been a really good run. We've got a good operation and a lot of very loyal guests and an excellent staff. Obviously we couldn't do it without either one of those two aspects. So we count ourselves very fortunate.
Fortunate, and there's been a lot of hard work and a lot of love put into the business. I can tell.
Yep.
Now, let me ask you, what what is sort of your underlying philosophy about hospitality that I would imagine probably hadn't changed a lot since you've been in
No,
the business?
I've been very fortunate exposure to again that small regional chain that I was involved with which was Le Chateau Great Steaks. We ultimately ended up with 49 restaurants throughout the southeast, and the gentleman who was our chief operations officer, hit me with a tidbit, when I was a neophyte manager, and he told me as long as I took care of my guests and took care of my staff, that the bottom line would take care of itself. Those were the three areas of responsibility that I had. And, I thought about that. It made absolute perfect sense to me. And that's pretty much, what I've tried to do over the ensuing, almost 50 years now, being in the hospitality industry is, take care of my guests, take care of my staff. And, it's really, has worked. Things have changed a lot in that 50 years. Fortunately, companies don't expect quite as much as from managers now like they did back in the early days. As far as you can actually have a lifestyle now and be in restaurant management. Whereas back when we first got in it, or when I first got in it, it seemed like it was the X number of dollars a week and all the hours you could work. And now it's I got to was fortunate enough to be in one location and watch my kids go through school and attend basketball games and all the things that I probably would have missed if I'd stayed in chain ops. And for all intent and purposes, led a pretty normal lifestyle, while being in the hospitality industry.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit, because take care of your guests and take care of your staff. I bet there was a lot of that came to you intuitively, but tell me a little bit about what that means, like taking care of your staff. What does that mean to you?
Well, I have always taken the position with staff of being firm, and the way I run the restaurant and what I expect and the things that we want to see done. But at the same time, I have always tried to be fair. I've always had an open door policy. Come talk to me anytime about anything. If you don't agree with what I'm doing, I will give you the opportunity to voice your opinion. We'll discuss it, and I'll explain my side. And I've had staff bring some really good ideas to the table, and certainly if they've got one, I don't have a problem giving them credit for it and getting it implemented. But at the same time, I expect you to do your job. I'm not a babysitter. Everybody's a mature adult, and once I have you trained and have explained to you what your responsibilities are, I expect you to do them. I want everybody to approach it. I want everybody to have a good time, but I want everybody to approach it, in a professional adult manner. I think most of our staff understands that, and we have extreme longevity in our staff.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of years just working for us. Not counting what else they might have done prior to coming to work for us, but it's probably out of the 50 people we employ, um, a full 50% of them have been there 5 years or longer.
Wow.
And then a even larger number if you count the ones who have been there a year or two. We just simply don't have a tremendous amount of turnover. And that's why I consider myself very fortunate. Makes my job easier. Makes it more cost effective for the restaurant because we're not constantly having to retrain, rehire, and spend those dollars, on that, that particular, side of the coin. You know, Probably one of the most expensive things that a restaurant does is hire and bring an employee up to, to working capacity, and then to turn around and lose that employee in a short period of time is, particularly if you do it a lot, it's a hard hit to the bottom line.
Do you are are you are you slow to hire, or how do you feel like you're able to get those types of folks on your team? Is it's great training, or is it really being very selective with hiring, or maybe a little of both?
Probably a little bit of both, but at the same time, like I said, we treat everybody fairly. We don't base anything necessarily on longevity. Just because you've worked there, for 10 years doesn't mean you get something that, the person that's only been there a year doesn't get. Everybody is put on a level playing field. And we expect a great deal of teamwork, and we are fortunate that everybody gets it.
Yeah.
A guest that is being served by someone today is potentially your guest next week, next month, 2 weeks, or however it works out. So if the priority is to make sure that that every guest has a good experience, then that pays off to everybody down the road. No restaurant makes money on a guest who comes one time.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to have repeat guests, and fortunately, I think we have been successful at that. Obviously, we've managed to stay in business 41 years, and last year, frankly, was the best year ever.
Wow.
In that it's now 41. In the 40-year history, last year was the best year, and we're ahead of that this year. So, I'm pleased with where we are, and but at the same time, we can't take our eye off the ball. We have to continue doing the things we're doing, and which I have every intent of doing as long as I own it and run it.
So so the taking care of guests, there's the relationship piece of that, and fostering those relationships for those regular customers, so they feel like they're at home when they come in. They feel like they're known, and
Yep.
they feel validated and important. And then there's I'm going to guess, there is the fine line of finding the right balance of the tradition of what, like the food you serve. Like some of that, probably people are eating things that they've been eating for years and years, but then your menu has to probably evolve some.
Yes.
Over time. And where do you? That seems like a careful. I mean, I know there's no specific answer and there's no magic formula, but is that something you're always trying to balance, or how do you approach that?
Well, we let me try to put this one in the right context. Our restaurant is steaks, chops, and seafood.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've put myself in a box. basically. I mean, I've got in one way of looking at a somewhat limited menu from the standpoint of those are our primary items. But at the same time, we have to stay current with food trends and things that are being done. And we're very, very fortunate with our executive chef and sous chef that they're young guys, knowledgeable, somewhat aggressive on the food trends and things of that nature, staying current on that kind of stuff. And we change the menu twice a year within the parameters of we still have steak, chops, and seafood, but it's presentation of items and doing them different ways. Using seasonal vegetables and things of that nature. So that the menu is not boringly always the same. I have certain items on the menu that are protected. For example, the steak of plov. We've been doing that since the inception of the restaurant. It's pardon my dog in the background.
No, that's all right. No problem. We love dogs.
Gibbs. And so we we try to keep things fresh, but the steak of plov will always be there. It's never going to change. That is a signature item. That I wouldn't allow anybody to change. And there's a couple of those items, but virtually everything else is up to them to present us with new approaches and new ways of doing things, and it passes muster with the entire management team. And if everybody agrees, then we make the change on an item. Like I said, we go through that process twice a year. It seems to work. We run daily features, and that's where we kind of give the kitchen the opportunity to stretch their legs a little bit and bring in some different proteins that maybe we don't have on the menu, or do some different things. With regard to appetizers or entrees or desserts, that are a little bit out of the norm, for our menu. And our guests seem to like that. It gives them an opportunity to try different things and, not always have to, have a steak or a piece of fish or, a pork chop or, whatever. When they come in, they can, work off, the specials. And that changes on a daily basis. So, it gives them a little bit of, to work with and have a little fun and do some different things.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Also a great way to try potential new menu items out and see how, they might be accepted.
Oh, through your specials, right. So ones that, are really popular, you may consider. Okay. So you've got some protected sort of sacred cows, and then you've got, that just seems like I would imagine just an interesting balance, always trying to find. But it sounds like you really have your thumb on things that
Well,
are part of they're a part of your brand. They're part of Ryan's, and always will be.
Unlike a lot of restaurants that have more of a if you will, an American menu or a broad selection of full course entrees, sandwiches, pastas, whatever. We're not that broad, so we have to make sure that what we're doing, quality is number one. That is the absolute key to everything. You have to have quality items to start with, to end up with a quality item, in my opinion. You can't buy junk and put it out there and expect the public to to accept it because it's not going to happen, particularly at our price point. We've got to extend every effort to find the absolute best quality that we can, and we have to charge for it. I've never claimed to be the least expensive restaurant in town, but the one thing I will claim is that we put as much or more effort into the quality than virtually anybody else does.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let me ask you this. You've had experience in a regional chain, and now you've had a lot of years with an independently owned and operated restaurant. What would you tell somebody that you feel like is a really great candidate to work there, and they're exploring several options, and it's somebody you feel like would be great on your team if you were, I guess, maybe trying to sell them on the value of being a part of an independent restaurant? What are some of the things that you think are important about that?
Well, I've talked to a number of people over the years, who have expressed interest in getting into restaurant management, and I've told just about all of them the same thing. Your best move is to go to work for a good chain, because they have the capacity to train you better than virtually anybody else does. They have the wherewithal to do it. They have the mechanics in place to make it happen. Get your feet wet, find out whether it's something you really like or not. And then once you have established yourself as a manager, then if you want to try to transition to the private sector being an independent operation like Ryan's, of course, and like in our case, management positions just simply don't come up. I mean, my partner and I take up 2 of those spots, and then we have another manager and then a shift leader who backs us up on vacations and stuff like that. So in independent restaurants, particularly that are being run by ownership, there's just not a lot of openings there. But the chains are a great place to learn and to find out whether it's something you want to do or not. And if it is, then if you look around, you can find an independent who's hiring. But the downside to that is opportunity for advancement may be somewhat limited, simply because of if there's not a second or a third restaurant, then if the GM is locked in, then there may be no place to go.
Yeah, right. That's right.
As far as climbing up.
But with management, I definitely understand that now. But like with a server, to me, if you're a server and you're looking around, there's something about being a part of an independent restaurant. Ryan's would be a great example of where you're able to interact with somebody who owns the business on a daily basis, and you learn so much when you're able to interact with somebody who owns something, I feel like, because you can learn all the different types of decisions that person has to make and why they make those decisions. So being so close to an owner like that, a successful restaurant, particularly one that's endured as long as Ryan's, to me would be like. And I ask this because I've got 3 kids, and they're my oldest is 14, so they're not quite working yet, but they're not too far. And I always feel like, gosh, going and working in an independent restaurant is a great place to learn how to work under stress, how to stress being good stress, but busy, crowded stress, lots going on, things are happening. You're on your feet, you're moving around. There's a lot of things to account for at once, and then having an owner there, particularly ones where the owner's involved in the operations and management of the business, would be a really neat opportunity if you're savvy enough to try to keep an eye on what's happening and ask the owner questions and try to learn. There's just a wealth of knowledge you can learn, I feel like, in an independent restaurant. It's a somewhat unique situation.
Absolutely. our current manager is a young lady named Kelly. And Kelly came to work for us when she was, I believe, a sophomore in high school as a 17-year-old hostess, or maybe a junior in high school. And now 17 years later, she's our I mean, absolutely invaluable right hand. I mean, she came in, grasped the idea early on. Um, we had a third manager at the time who retired, and Kelly just kind of moved into that position, and has continued to learn and grow. And she is directly exposed to Jeff and myself. So I mean, it's we we've been funneling stuff at her, for a long time, and she's like a sponge. She just, she picks it up, she understands, she gets it, and it certainly makes our life easier. And I think she's developed a good career. I mean, she stayed with us, obviously through high school and then on through college, and then after she graduated, decided it was all the timing just fell perfectly about the time the other manager wanted to retire, and Kelly just stepped in, and she said she felt like she really liked what she was doing and wanted to take it to the next level. So she is one who actually has never worked for a chain, but just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And is obviously still with us today, and I couldn't imagine her not being there.
Yeah.
She, of course, with mine and Jeff's age, it's nice to have someone in their 30s who understands the technology aspect of all the stuff that has come into play that didn't exist back when we were in our 30s.
Right.
I came out of the school where you hand wrote checks, and things got added up on adding machines and rung into a register. And the point of sale systems now are well, they're computers. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And fortunately, she understands all that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, speaking of that, what are the there's all this technology now today too, with social media and ways to stay connected with your guests. What do you all do to, when customers leave the restaurant, how do you stay engaged with them and foster those relationships once they've left?
We watch social media fairly closely, between Open Table and feedback from guests. Facebook, we don't actually do any tweeting, but we respond to TripAdvisor, all those aspects of social media. We have a position of trying to respond to everything. If a guest makes a comment, post something, good or bad, we try to respond to it.
It's a lot to keep up with these days. There's a lot of places they can comment.
Oh yeah. And some of it, I'd like to say most of it actually is fair and reasonable. Occasionally you get one that's not. But like I said, we try to respond to everything.
Where do you get the most feedback? Just out of curiosity.
Probably TripAdvisor without question. If you're talking about social media,
I hear that more and more. I used to hear Yelp a lot, but it seems like TripAdvisor.
No, don't get much out of Yelp, but
okay.
And then of course Open Table. But everybody who makes a reservation through Open Table is sent an email to kind of rate their visit.
Yeah.
So we see a lot from that for that reason. But,
gotcha.
just unsolicited comments. TripAdvisor is probably the most frequent one.
That's the most frequent one. Okay. Well, just curious. Well, listen, you've done a great job, and Dennis, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, because you have done an amazing job with that restaurant for a long time, and you clearly have a lot of love for what you do, and it shows. And with the repeat customers and the staff that's been there so long, and the fact that the restaurant has had its best year I guess it would have been in year 40 last year,
40.
right? This is,
Yep,
I mean,
right.
Congratulations on that. It's fantastic. Wonderful to hear that.
Yeah, we're ecstatic, and we're still having a good time, and going to continue doing it. Health is reasonable, so I'm just going to keep plugging away and stay with it for ever how long. I don't know yet. I've had people ask me what my exit strategy is, and I looked at them kind of quizzically and said, "Nah, I hadn't really thought about that yet."
That's funny. Yeah, that's a question I think people feel like they're supposed to ask people that own businesses. I always laugh a little bit. We get that sometimes too. And, I mean,
and by the way, you guys do a bang up job.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I can't tell you how much easier my life has been since we added schedule fly to the list of things that we use, and not having to keep up with 14 different pieces of little paper that says I want to be off on the next day.
Right.
Has made it easier.
Well, good. Well, that's what we're here for. I appreciate that. Well, it's a testament to, you've built like you said, you found a good balance, man. I mean, you're able to go to your kids' ball games and have a normal life, and there's so much, everybody's trying to build and grow and stuff so much these days, but I really relate a lot to the idea of having a good balance in life, and having, you've got one place, and you've just go focus on executing daily. It doesn't have to be so complicated, like the guy told you early on. You focus on your staff and focus on your guests, and everything else kind of takes care of itself. And that's applicable in so many businesses, but certainly with restaurants. And
I don't know of a single business it wouldn't apply to, but
that's right.
It certainly gives me time to go fishing, and that there's the important facts in life. So
there we go. I like it. Good. We were just at Lake Lure this past week with family. We went up there, and
I hope you had decent weather.
We had great weather. Beautiful place. Did a little fishing and a lot of relaxing, and yeah, for sure.
Are you the fly fisherman?
That's Wes. Yeah, that's Wes.
Yeah. Okay. I knew that one of you was involved in it. That's my passion as well. I'm fishing if I'm off, and I'm current on my home chores. Then I'm generally in a stream somewhere up in the mountains. Chasing a trout.
Yeah, he's down there he's in Wilmington, so he's down there inshore chasing tailing redfish and stuff like that. So yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll have to get you guys together sometime. No, I can cast a spinning rod and stuff, but that's his thing for sure. But I'm glad you look, man. That's a great thing. It's a good testament to having some balance in life and being able to do something outside of just working all the time.
Yeah, it's not all about that work, but at the same time, you got to keep your eye on it.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Will, I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate the time very much. I enjoyed it very, very much, and appreciate the business. And tell your team we stoked to serve y'all, and I just appreciate you taking the time. I'll let you get back to your day off. Thank you, man.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.